I'm going to show you what it's really like to tour with a band, but first things first, let's get a cup of coffee. Firstly, here's what people think touring is like, and here is the reality. So at the start of the day, I would need to get my drums to the tour bus, load all of my drums onto the tour bus, and then once we start driving towards the venue, I would be learning the songs in the back of the bus, and then from there I'd probably also program the backing tracks because that's the drummer's job. We then get to the hotel, drop all our bags off, and then stare into empty space for a few hours because there's nothing to do. After that, we head to the venue for soundcheck. Now, we get to the venue, and usually what all us musicians do is we want to snoop around and check out the room, check out the acoustics in the room, check out the gear that's there. And then after that, what I usually do is look for snacks. Sometimes you can choose what you want on your rider if you're a big enough band, but most of the time you just get what you're given. But this is always a fun little surprise. Now we lug all our gear through a tiny hallway, up loads of stairs, and usually at the absolute opposite end of the venue. I don't know why they do this, but it seems to be a trend with a lot of venues. And then, so we're up there sound checking, and the sound engineer guy usually goes, "Yep, you're ready to sound check," and I'm literally putting my snare drum on. I've found a little hack for you. What you need to do is leave your cymbals off, because as soon as they see the cymbals on, that's when they think, oh, the band's ready. So just leave your cymbals off till the end, put your cymbals on right before you're ready to go, and then it will just give you that little bit extra time. It works every time. So then we sound check, and after about 30 seconds, usually a sound engineer or someone on the side will say, "All right guys, time's up, we got to get off," and we get all of our stuff off stage, side of stage, and then what we do is we just go into the town, and it's really nice. You get to see different cities, you get to taste different food, see different sights, and this is a really nice bit where you can really bond with the band as well, because you've got the excitement of the show coming up as well. So then when we head back to the venue, there's a bit of a moment of truth that happens. If you can see a line outside the venue, it's great. Everyone gets excited, and that's the ideal scenario. But more often than not, you don't really see many people there, especially when you're starting out. I did so many shows to 4-5 people in the audience, and then it was only till later on that things started to pick up. One of my old tutors said to me, like, don't worry, even if you're still getting these gigs, it only takes 1 or 2 people in the crowd to notice you, to notice, hey, they're a good band, we can put them with, you know, a support act on another show, and then that show's sold out. So yeah, keep that in mind and try not to get discouraged if that happens. Now we're in the dressing room just before the show, and we like to do all these weird musician rituals. I like to skip and I like to chew gum. I know the singer likes to do these vocal runs and then constantly ask the tour manager, is there anybody out there? The bass player, well, who knows the bass player, what he does. The guitarist likes to sit in the back and just noodle on his guitar. And our keys player likes to check that his hair is perfect before he goes on stage. We all have these little weird things. You'll probably have your ones as well, but it becomes like a ritual. It also happens with like sports people as well. They have a little ritual. They have to, you know, touch their left shoulder or do something weird before they go on. I'm not sure why we do this. If you know why, let me know, but I definitely do it, and if I don't do it, it feels really weird to walk on stage. Then we head to stage, and just before we go on, we have a little huddle to just remind ourselves that this is why we're doing this. We're here and we're ready to give this performance to the audience and make them have a good time. That's what makes all the not as fun work, you know, like the morning, packing all the gear, all that stuff. This is what makes it all worth it. So let's really switch on for this moment and make it as good as we can. So the show ends, and depending on whether it's good or bad, the band has a mixed amount of feelings. I always think whether you've played good or bad, it's best to just say nothing, watch the recording of the show, and then judge after. That's always worked for me, and the worst thing you can do is go out and start talking to your friends saying, oh, we played so bad, and then someone overhears you, and then it just doesn't create a good energy. So keep it to yourself for a day, watch the recording, and then have a meeting later on with your band to talk about how it went. But the work doesn't stop there. Once you finish, you're usually covered in sweat. It's pretty gross. And then you've got to lug all your stuff off and pack it in the back of the tour bus again. Once you're in the tour bus, you have to find, okay, we need to find a place where all of our gear isn't going to get stolen. So then we go on that mission to find a parking spot where we think it's going to be safe. Then we head back to the venue and we stand side of stage to watch the headline act. And we usually nerd out a bit on the gear or what they're using. Many people think at this moment, okay, now this is where all the party happens, you know, just like it is in the movies. But usually that's not the case. Occasionally, yes. But usually we have to get to the next venue. So we can only stay for about 20 minutes and then we all have to get into the van and drive to the next hotel, and then everything happens again like it's Groundhog Day. The one thing that I want you to take away from this YouTube video is it is who you're with. If you're with a great bunch of people, the whole process is so much more fun. You can kind of love the grind, even if you don't have a good show. If you're around good people, that's what really matters. I've found that I've had both sides. Sometimes as a session musician where it's just by myself and I'm hired to do a job, it can be really isolating and you have to be really resilient and professional to get that job done and not really have the camaraderie of everybody else around you. So choose your gigs wisely and make sure you're with people you get along with. I don't think there's enough importance on that because it really does make the difference in your mental space and how you are as a person. Touring has its pros and cons and you need to decide what's right for you. Just listen to what Charlie Watts has to say about the playing versus the hanging around.
You must have done a great deal of hanging around in 25 years with the Stones.
Worked 5 years and 20 years hanging around.
Each experience has its differences, but also its similarities. So you just need to decide what's right for you, whether you want to go on tour and sacrifice, you know, your family and everything else and just be focused on music if you're in that part of your life, or whether you don't really want to do that. I would suggest if you're all in on music and if there's not a part of you that goes, oh, I would miss this person or that person, and you just want to do music, then go for touring. If not, then have a plan B and maybe do touring for a little bit of your life, but don't make it your long-term plan. Yes, it's really hard work, but it is absolutely worth the grind. When you see the crowd's faces and you see you've brought so much happiness to so many people, so don't forget that that's what you can bring. You can bring music to so many people and give them such a great time and get paid for doing it. Let me know if you've had some similar experiences touring, and don't forget to hit subscribe. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and thank you for watching.